Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. This is Vimoh Live. It happens on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 p.m. On Wednesdays, I don't take callers, I just talk and read comments. And on Saturdays, I take callers and give priority to the people who disagree with me. So if you want to talk to me face to face, Saturday is the day you should be here, although you're welcome to be here today also. The only reason I mention this is because some people have expressed the desire to come on screen and talk today. We don't do that on Wednesday. We do this on Saturday. Today's topic, in case you have not seen the thumbnail, has to do with why some NRI uncles have a problem with India being democratic. And the reason we are talking about this, obviously, is that yesterday I published a reaction video on my main channel, which had Meghnad as the guest, and the subject was an interview done by Ranveer Alabadia, also known as Beer Biceps. An interview done by him with Rajiv Malhotra, an NRI uncle, very much in the vein of what I just described. So we're going to we're going to talk about it. And before I start, say hi. Let me know if the audio video is okay. And if you want to support this channel, you can do so by clicking the join button below and becoming a member. You can also support this channel by sending super chats. You can also support this channel by making a one-time contribution on my blog at vimoh.stck.me. There is a support button there. And then there is Patreon, obviously, patreon.com/Vimoh. I had mentioned some weeks ago that I would tell you about my Twitch channel, and now I am able to do that because the username is the way I want it. So my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/TheVimohShow. The reason I am talking about Twitch right now is because a lot of you saw yesterday's live stream and said that, saw yesterday's reaction video and said we need more of these. However, there is a problem with it, and the problem is that on YouTube, if I use content from other channels, even if it is for the right intentions and falls under fair use, then there might be copyright strikes against the channel, and I honestly can't afford that. Like, obviously, 3 strikes and the channel is gone. So one has to be very careful on YouTube. But on Twitch, we don't have that problem. So I can do really long breakdowns, reactions, explanations. So at some point of time, I'm going to do that. But if you want to be prepared for whenever that happens, then if anyone wants to be alerted to when that happens, you can just go to twitch.tv/TheVimohShow and follow that. And if you have the app, you'll get a notification. Even if you don't have the app, you'll get an email notification when I go live, and you can join the live stream. I'll also announce it in advance on Instagram, etc. So without much further ado, let me take a look at the comments. Blue Panther, hi Blue Panther. Blue Panther says hi Vimoh. Just a little correction. It's NRI Uncle. Acha, yeah. I'll change the spelling in the thumbnail. I'm not even kidding. I will. I shouldn't have said uncle. Logically asks, hello Vimoh, who's responsible for the high population of India, Hindus or Muslims? That's a question with certain assumptions in there. First of all, who has more of a population? Hindus. Then why is it that most people who complain about the so-called population problem are Hindus, and the reason they think the population problem exists is Muslims? Secondly, there is a book written about this topic that I mentioned in the last episode. It's called The Population Myth by Mr. Qureshi. I'm forgetting the first name, but you should read that book. It throws a lot of statistical light on this issue, and the stats are not even, liberal leftist sources, it's government sources. So the myth that Muslims are adding to the population of India is false. The third thing is that why are we like, if I asked you who's responsible for so many software engineers in India, then the question contains an assumption, and that assumption is that having so many software engineers is a problem, right? So why are we thinking of population as a problem when the real problem is not population? The real problem is allocation of resources, distribution of resources. If India is taken as a source of resources, wow, source of resources, may the resource be with you. If India is taken as a source of resources, then there is plenty of resources for, there is plenty of resources for everyone. Thank you, MK, for the 40 rupees super chat. Who is Irfan Habib, Romila Thapar? And are they bad? No, they're not bad. Irfan Habib is a well-known historian. Romila Thapar is also a well-known historian. The people who... we'll talk about this. I'll get to this after I make my point about population. If India is to be taken as a source of resources, then there is plenty for everyone. The reason population is a problem is because plenty of people who are part of this population don't have enough to eat, to survive, etc. If a few people are sitting on most of the resources, then population starts to look like a problem. If everyone has enough, then population starts to look like an advantage. It was not even a decade ago that we were talking about. Nandan Nilekani wrote a book about India's demographic dividend, and in recent times it has become very clear that the amount of unemployment that our youth are suffering from because of, bad management, is kind of putting a dent in that dream of the demographic dividend that we had. Even though India has a large number of young people, their potential is being squandered away because of the unemployment problem right now. So I don't necessarily think of population as a problem, and there may be angles from which, if you look at this matter, it looks like a problem, but most of the conversation about population problem is very motivated, and it is designed to put blame on a certain group of people, and it's dishonest. Right. So MK had asked about Irfan Habib and Romila Thapar. The reason she's asking is because there was this tiny video meme going around where Beer Biceps was asking someone, who was it? Jay Sai Deepak, 3 people who he would like to leave India. First of all, nobody has the authority to decide who leaves India. It was just a casual question. Everyone has the right to ask questions. But the fact that he pointed out 2 prominent historians and a very well-respected journalist tells us everything we need to know about the priorities of these people. There are criminals in India, right? Those were the first names that should have come to your mind. There are smugglers, criminals, serial murderers. Your mind, you did, that was not the first thought that came to your mind. The first thing that came to your mind was academics and journalists. That tells me everything I need to know about this agenda that is going around. So Irfan Habib is a historian. Romila Thapar is a historian. I would highly recommend that people read their book because those are actually, surprise, surprise, history books instead of watching stupid YouTube channels. Like this one, perhaps, depending on your perspective. Barkha also is a journalist. I would highly recommend that if people are looking for journalism, they look to people like Barkha instead of, I'm not saying any of these people are free of faults, by the way. But for their names to appear in a list of people who need to be thrown out of India is just garbage. It's just garbage. Right. Madhu Shetty says logically, scroll. Logically, only Muslims are responsible, not only related to population, but also for every problem we are facing today in India. Madhu Shetty is an idiot. Please ignore them. Just a sarcasm. Okay, they're not an idiot, they're sarcastic. I'm sorry, Madhu Shetty. Logically says, why the Sanatanis who are so proud of Vedas actually read them? If you have read them, then tell in shortcut what is there. The why Sanatanis who are proud of Vedas, have you ever asked them why they recommend these books? You might find out that a lot of those people have not actually read the Vedas. A lot of the people who say Sanskrit should be brought back don't know Sanskrit. A lot of people who say Hindi should be the national language don't know good Hindi. A lot of people who talk about the benefits of yoga don't do yoga. These are talking points designed to make it appear as if there is a certain number of qualities that can make you more Indian than others. I think if someone is fishing, that's also equally Indian because Indian people do this. Always be careful of people who seek to define, who seek to provide you with parameters based on which you can call yourself Indian. I think I made a video some time ago about how English is also an Indian language. I think if a person from Uttar Pradesh who speaks in Hindi can call himself true Indian because he is Hindu, speaks Hindi and also calls himself a nationalist, then a Parsi person living in Mumbai whose native language is English is also equally Indian. Don't let anyone define what Indian means in such narrow terms. MK, thank you for another 40 rupees. बरखा दत्त भी कौन है और इन्होंने क्या किया? बरखा दत्त is a journalist. MK, कहाँ थे आप? Barkha Dutt is a journalist. She has a YouTube channel called The Mojo Story. You can watch it. She does good reportage and interviews. And she has a stellar journalistic career behind her, the likes of which those those making lists and putting her on will never achieve. Kshitij says, hi, I want to join and talk. Kshitij, that's on Saturday. Sorry, Saturday ko aana, baat karenge. Regardless of what you want to talk about. Surya says, wild guess. Rajiv, elitist Raju Malhotra. Yes, he's a prime example of it, but he's only a symptom of a larger problem, which is that when upper caste Hindus go to America, spend their life there, make money there, and then in their old age they need some entertainment, they turn towards India and try to suggest changes to the political landscape of India because it's a long evening, they don't have anything better to do, and that is the that is the category of people that Rajiv Malhotra also belongs to. It's callous supremacism disguised as concern for the home country. If they were concerned, they would be here. As I pointed out in yesterday's video, the reason the opinion of Sanghiya NRIs cannot be taken seriously whenever they say something about India is that they are, for example, take democracy, for example, the thing that I mentioned in the thumbnail. India is a democratic country, but these people think that democracy is causing a lot of problems. And they are thinking these thoughts sitting in America, which is a democracy. They will live in a democratic country. They will enjoy every privilege that they get as a result of living in that democratic country. And then they will pass comments about how the democratic country that they came from should not be democratic and that the people who are making it democratic are really the enemies of it. They who left this country for money will sit far away and make comments about how India is being ruined by this democracy thing. ये जो बालकनी में बैठ के व्हाट्सएप में एंग्री मैसेजेस भेजने वाला अंकल है ना, ये इन लोगों के साथ वही होना चाहिए, वही खड़ूस हैं ये लोग. MK, thank you for another 40 rupees. What can be read about these two historians? Any example? MK, Google it. MK, Google it. There are books by these people. Romila Thapar, I think, has written books. Irfan Habib has also written books. Barkha Dutt has also written books. There are books by them. If you can't find enough information about them online, you can always read their own books. Amazon, is it live? Yes, Amazon, it is live. Also, welcome back. Ankit says, people know who Vimoh's old Twitch name. Sahil Verma says, hello, Vimoh, what is up? Arey, Twitch name, it's the same account. I've just changed the username. And the old username was Metabore. Sarcastic Skeptic says, religions have the power to make a perfect dictatorship where the slaves won't even dream of imagining because they will consider their power-hungry dictator as a perfect being, almost a god. Yeah. So there is a certain amount of religiosity that is to be found in present-day politics where hero worship reigns supreme. And it is very religious in nature. Surya says, the answer to your question is simple, Vimoh. Smugness and privilege intertwined. Well, I would like to say that yes, those are true. But smugness and privilege are kind of broad categories in which you can put many people across the world in different contexts, right? So I think the accurate answer would be to look at the worldview that this person is coming from. When an NRI Brahman says that, in our Vedas, we always give authority to wise people, guru figures, etc. He's talking about Brahmanism. He's just talking about Brahmanical patriarchy. There was also mention of family systems and values. And, some people are good at cooking, some are good at making decisions. It's just gender roles. He understands that he lives in the year 2023. So he does not want to appear as if he's from 3000 BC. So he does his best to hide it. Unfortunately, he's not very good at it. And it comes through. Sahil says, hello, Vimoh, what's up? Hi, Sahil. All well, all well. Sarcastic Skeptic says, okay, already saw that. 855 Glenn says, I had deleted Twitch, but now I will reinstall it. Yes, please do. Thank you, Glenn. Sarcastic Skeptic says, at what point do you think something becomes a religion? Is communism a religion? Veganism? Can Saganism or Dawkinsism be a religion? I think that if there are guidelines, my criteria for describing something as a religion is that I use the definition that is most commonly understood to be true or accepted, or well accepted. And the most commonly well accepted definitions would be a religion is something that has certain foundational beliefs And at least some of those foundational beliefs have to do with supernatural realities. So, communism, I don't know, it would seem to be one, but it's probably not because of the lack of supernaturalism. It's an ideology. Every religion is an ideology, but every ideology is not necessarily a religion. Veganism, I don't think so. Saganism, there is no foundational belief. Dawkinism is no nothing. I'm hearing the word Dawkinism for the first time. Amazon says, do you really think someone, a BJP guy, will read a book written by Qureshi? Sure. There are books written by Muslim people who are members of the RSS. Those books also exist. I mean, you and I should not read it, but those books exist. And yes, the BJP people do read a lot of books. I myself have read books written by BJP people. I've read L.K. Advani's autobiography. It was, I don't even remember what it was like. I read it when he was running for Prime Minister several years ago. But then again, I was a BJP supporter. I mean, no, not then. Later. I'm confusing things. Isha says, what do you do to sleep on time? I lie in bed and I close my eyes and I let my body relax until I go to sleep. I remind myself that I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and if I don't sleep soon, then I will not get enough sleep. So that also helps. Sai Deepak Bhumipalli says, not just NRI uncles, young NRIs too. I see a lot of people here support all the laws in India like IT rules, call it law of the land, but worried about Republicans here. Yeah, they should be asked if the American government makes a rule that they just because they were born in another country or are descended from people who are not necessarily white, quote unquote white, they don't deserve to live in America. Will they agree with that law? No, it is perfectly possible for laws to be unjust, and that is why a process of judicial review exists. People challenge laws, and laws are often overturned. That is how a constitutional democracy works. Sarcastic Skeptic says, do you think atheists should be more vocal? I think every person who's an atheist should decide how they want to live their life. If they think that their atheism is something they want to be vocal about, they should be. If they think that their atheism can just be with them and nobody else needs to know about it, that's also okay. And we should be careful when saying things like atheists should be more vocal, because you may be outing someone. You may be putting undue pressure on someone to be coming out. There are people for whom, like there are many ex-Muslims for whom coming out as an atheist may be a life and death matter. So respect people's choices when it comes to these things. Gurpal Singh says, I have learned to accept my friends' political beliefs and look beyond it, but sometimes I just can't help but think that how can they support such a regime and organization and question my friendship. That's understandable, Gurpal Singh. Let me tell you something. When I was a BJP supporter, I still had friends who were not BJP supporters, and we had conversations about these things. And they never cut off ties with me, and that was a huge part of why I was able to come back. So engage in conversations with your friends as long as your friend is not, if your friend is brazenly in support of some people's dehumanization on the basis of their caste or religion or background, then definitely call them out and say that I will not speak with you. But do not cut off ties with them, because one day they will look back at all the things they have said and done, and maybe they will need someone to talk to, and you should be available to talk to them on that day at least. So maybe you will be a bridge, maybe you won't be a bridge. I don't know the extent of your friend's radicalization, so I cannot really comment very clearly on this. Charvak says, hello Vimoh. Hi Charvak. I saw you on Aran Ra's channel. Great work, man. Good that you went. Gurpal says, do you get those kind of thoughts? I have friends who had those thoughts about me. MG says, Congress is likely to win Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. Good. Let's hope so. AP Singh says, I did read both the historians, but not sure who Dutt is. Dutt is Barkha Dutt, the journalist. She was on NDTV half her life, and now she is running her own digital platform called Mojo Story. Charvak says, aptly agreed with Vimoh. AP Singh says, those who praise them haven't read them. Those who praise whom haven't read whom? The Vedas or the historians? Surya says, Gurpal, fully agree with you, my guy. Glenn says, AP Singh, I think we are too young to know here for me journalism is Sushant Singh Rajput. Arey yaar. Yeah, I sometimes forget that I'm older than you all. I'm 40 years old, and when I was in my 20s, there were certain people on television who were role models for young people who wanted to get into journalism. Rajdeep Sardesai was one of them. Barkha Dutt was another one of them. And when I was even younger, my parents tell me that even Yogendra Yadav was a role model. These days, you know Yogendra Yadav as a social worker, or Barkha Dutt as a YouTuber, or Rajdeep Sardesai as a guy who appears on India Today sometimes. But these people occupied a huge chunk of the national consciousness not very long ago. I like to think it was not very long ago, but then again, Lord of the Rings is like 25 years old now. So my sense of what is old and new is a little skewed. You're young. A lot of things that I think happened recently are like ancient stuff for you. So bear with me. Jesus says, if Sanskrit is made national language, I will. What? तुम्हारा comment आधे में गायब हो गया. Okay, ये क्या है? Amar Khopade has super chatted 20 pounds. Thank you, Amar Khopade. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. ये क्या है? MK का एक और 40 रुपये था. Sorry, Vimoh, मेरा source of information आप ही हो. MK, there's no need to send multiple super chats. You can just send the whole thing in one go and ask one question. Amazon says, why are Hindus calling themselves a Sanatani all of a sudden? Where did that word come from? What does that even mean, and why do I find it annoying? I don't know why you find it annoying, but what they mean by it is that Sanatan means eternal. Sanatan Dharma means eternal religion, which is a claim that every religion makes, by the way. So in some way or form, every religion claims that they have to do with the one truth or the eternal truth. The biggest criticism of Sanatan, the word Sanatan, in my opinion, should be that, wait, ye kya hai? Thanks for being you, says Amar Kopade. Thank you, Amar. Much appreciated. Thanks for being you also. It is because of people like you that people like me can do the things that I do, that we do. Yeah, where was I? Sanatan, yeah. So Sanatan means eternal. Sanatan Dharma means eternal religion. Sanatanis are people who like to claim that they belong to the religion of eternity. Hindus also like to claim that their religion accepts all paths to truth. But every time someone calls themselves a Sanatani, I kind of doubt that, because then they're kind of turning their religion into another one of the religions that they don't want to call true. They, no religion can be eternal. Every religion is less old than human beings. Human beings came first, communities came first, then religions happened. Now, a lot of people harbor fantasies about, 80,000-year-old histories and all. But there is no scientific or archaeological or historical evidence to support any of those claims. So, AP Singh says, I heard someone saying that sold information to Pakistan but don't know the claim's authenticity. I think you'll find a lot of stuff floating around. Unless people give you sources, don't trust them. People can say anything. I can say that the person who told you this was an ISI agent. Usse kya hota hai? Words are wind. Evidence is what matters. कहाँ गया? अरे Joy Boy says, Glenn says, Vimoh, I had a question. Why are Parsis have a cult of personality? Example, Ratan Tata being a rich man and nothing. I don't think that applies to Parsis. Parsis are a very small community and they live in a very prosperous part of India. So their presence on the national consciousness is kind of larger than you would expect it to be, right? I don't think it can be said of Parsis that there's a cult of personality about Parsis in general. So, yeah, I don't know where that came from. Joy Boy says, taking from argument by Vinod, I don't want to be called right or left winger, etc. My question is, can one escape these labels? If one really doesn't want to be labeled as such, what he or she should do? Vinod, okay, you're talking about a conversation we had on this live stream with Vinod some weeks ago, I think. Yeah. So, no, I think my problem is not with someone saying that they don't want to be labeled. My problem is with someone acting like a right winger, behaving like a right winger, talking like a right winger, but saying I'm not a right winger. It's like you want to have your cake and eat it also. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Vinod was a right winger. I think Vinod is probably better described as a clueless liberal. But it's a very short jump from clueless liberal to right winger, and a lot of liberals end up as proper, trad right wingers in due course of time, and that is because their link to the social realities of India is very thin. Like they will be saying, no, no, Hinduism and Hindutva are two different things and stuff like that, and from there, Arey Mera Dharm Khatre Mein is a very short jump. They just need to get a few propaganda videos on a one impressionable afternoon in order for that to happen. Stanley says, I sent a reel of Osho calling people who go to temple, mosques and churches idiots to my religious friend. She got so emotional after watching it, I started feeling bad for her. Okay. Again, when people tell me about something that they did and their friend reacted in a certain way, I'm unable to comment on it with great authority because I don't know how sensitive or sensible or emotional your friend is. I cannot comment on people I don't know. Who is this? Somnath, thank you for the 200 rupees super chat. Your and Meghnad's episode was awesome. I think you may concentrate more on countering such nonsense. Pranav does good work debunking pseudoscience. Similar work for sociology is needed. Understood. It shall be done. Oh, notification अब आ रहा है comment पढ़ने के बाद. I think this GIF may be taking some time to load. This Picard dancing वाला GIF. अच्छा, by the way, इस GIF को change करके और क्या कर सकते हैं? I wanted to use some Indian GIF. A GIF that represents that someone has donated. So what GIF can I use? I'm thinking something from Sholay. But if yes, then what GIF should it be? Let me know. Archived Knowledge says, Glenn, thank you very much. I feel a little better just trying to keep myself sane by engaging in work. Okay, this is about a conversation older. MK says, और किसी का information पर भरोसा नहीं है. Okay, नहीं Google कर सकते हो. There are authoritative sources. Be very careful about the word authoritarian and authoritative. They mean very different things. Authoritative means someone who knows what they are talking about. Authoritarian means a dictator. Airborne says, how do we de-radicalize these uncles? Give up. Don't try. Just stay out of their radar. Keep them off your radar. Focus more on younger people. The uncles are not going to change their minds. Unless one day they go to the market and find that the tomatoes have become expensive, and then their ideologies will melt away. Because on some level, these are the equivalents of what we call first world problems, right? The uncle is cultural renaissance, 100-year project, etc. But then the prices go up and they're like, "Arey, ye thoda zyada ho raha hai." So their commitment to their cause also is not very strong. You will find that people who have a relationship with the ground level realities will value the things that need to be valued. Like people valued price rise and joblessness in Karnataka, and that is why they valued those issues. They thought those issues were important. That is why they did not go for electoral speeches which were about religion or temples and stuff. Some things actually matter to life, and some things are mostly Hawaii Kile. If a political party turns Hawaii Kile into their campaign foundation, then better luck next time, I guess. Amit Matthew has donated $5 through Super Chat. GIF or GIF? Or is it GIF or is it Giraffics? I say GIF, yeah. I know some people say GIF. I say GIF. I've been saying GIF since I got on the internet. So, yeah, it's GIF for me. I'm old. Get used to it. Charvak says, sarcastic skeptics tell that Hindu atheist Rahul Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Akbar, Aurangzeb, Gandhi, Priyanka are Hindus as they are born in India, their own logic. Yeah, that's true. Any political discussion where one person declares himself on the side of Hinduism, point at the other people, and statistically the chances are high that the other people present there will also be Hindu. Hindutva feeds on the no true Scotsman fallacy. I am on the side of Hindus, and the other person says, but I'm also Hindu. And he says, yeah, but you're not true Hindu like I am. So, it's a logical fallacy. Ajinkya says, Vimoh, the best thing is Rajiv Malhotra eschewed his Indian citizenship and is now an American citizen. So, technically, he's a foreign agent, something the right-wingers are so proud of. In fact, a part that I cut out of my conversation with Meghnad was that had it not been for the fact that Rajiv Malhotra's skin color was more or less the same as mine and Meghnad's, what he was saying would count as racism. Throughout the 60s and 70s, there were American scholars who were writing papers about India's future, and they were not throughout, like there was some, I'm making it appear as if it was the mainstream, but there were many scholars who are writing about the fact that India cannot remain one country. It is far too diverse. There are far too many different kinds of people, and so it'll break apart. It'll become a balkanized Russia-like thing. But it didn't happen. We're still here. So those white commentators were saying the same thing that Rajiv Malhotra is saying today. Indians can't do democracy. We are a Brahmanical past guru, blah, 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 blah. It's racist. The only reason it's probably not racist is because his race and my race are the same. He's repeating the same shit. You'll find a lot of these people who call themselves Indic, etc., are actually quite anti-India. And I don't like to use this phrase. I don't like to accuse people of being anti-India. But if the word anti-India is going to be used, we might as well use it in the right context. A conspiracy theorist who says that ancient Indians had satellite technology what is he doing? He is taking a Western conceptualization of what modernity means, and he's applying it to ancient India. He thinks he's doing it with best intentions. But what he's actually doing is that he's trying to paint India in Western colors in order to feel good, because he thinks that the West is inherently superior. And he's ashamed of his own country, so he's trying to make his ancient past look like present day or futuristic West. It's shameful. These people call themselves patriots and nationalists. They're nothing of the sort. अरुण says, विमो भाई हिस्ट्री के इवेंट्स को प्रेजेंट के हिसाब से जज करना जो फ्यूचर के हिसाब से देखा जाना चाहिए, जो फिर जिस टाइम में ये इवेंट्स हुए हैं उसके हिसाब से देखना चाहिए. अच्छा, आई थिंक आई कैन मेक सेंस ऑफ दिस इफ आई रीड दिस वन मोर टाइम. हिस्ट्री के इवेंट्स को प्रेजेंट के हिसाब से जज करना या फ्यूचर के हिसाब से देखना चाहिए, या फिर जिस टाइम में वो इवेंट्स हुए हैं उसके हिसाब से देखना चाहिए. मुझे लगता है कि हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट्स जो हिस्ट्री में हैं और अब नहीं हो रहे हैं उनको हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट के रूप में देखना चाहिए. पर समथिंग लाइक कास्ट विच इज़ हैपनिंग नाउ शुड बी सीन फ्रॉम अ कंटेम्प्रेरी लेंस. मुझे फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता कास्ट कहाँ से आया और कैसा था. मुझे फ़र्क इस बात से पड़ता है कि कास्ट अभी कैसा है और क्या कर रहा है, और उसके वजह से हमारा फ्यूचर कैसा होगा. जो चीज़ हिस्ट्री में थी ख़त्म हो गई, वो ख़त्म हो गई. फॉर एग्जाम्पल द मुगल्स, दे डोंट एग्जिस्ट एनी मोर. Caste existed and still exists. My problem with it is because it still exists, not because it existed once upon a time. I would rather focus on tomorrow than yesterday. Surya says it comes to no one's surprise that these uncles are talking with so much of ignorance on democracy and India related issues. Yeah, it's a regular role. आज सुबह पढ़ा ex Chief Justice of India, Justice Ramana, has said that casteism is rampant in NRIs, and he's not wrong. It is. This Rajiv Malhotra is an example of it. If you are an Indian outside, find anti-caste movements, find groups, pro-democracy groups, find Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi groups, and put your support behind them instead of these guys. Harsh, thank you for being a member. Much appreciated. Harsha says we lost sound. Ignore, my earphones are dead. यार हार्ट अटैक मत दिया करो. Every time you feel like complaining about audio, check your audio. Because I talk non-stop and my audio is showing as okay here. You tell me that the audio is not working and for a moment I think मेरा पूरा live stream बर्बाद हो चुका है. एक बार ऑडियो इक्विपमेंट चेक कर लिया करो, फिर बोलो साउंड नहीं आ रहा है. AP Singh says Stanley, RSS has a Muslim wing. Yeah, it does. It's हाथी के दांत, but it does have a Muslim wing. Airborne says NRI folks are the ones enjoying liberal privilege in their residence, but advocate for conservative thought in their home country. Exactly. वो लोग मजे करेंगे, डेमोक्रेसी के सारे मजे लेंगे, चूस कर खाएंगे, माइनॉरिटी होने के बारे में भी बात करेंगे और बोलेंगे कि मेरी स्ट्रगल इन दिस वाइट कंट्री एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू having empathy for minorities and the marginalized people in their home country, they'll be like, नहीं ये डेमोक्रेसी सब खराब है, तुम बन जाओ 1% रूल बन जाओ. मेटा गैलेक्सी इन्फिनिटी सुपर चैट 100 रुपीज़ का, थैंक यू वेरी मच अप्रिशिएटेड. वॉज देयर अ मैसेज विद इट? How's it going? It's going well, sir. Thank you. Sir, ma'am, person, I don't know your gender. Sorry. Airborne says, Amar says, hi Vimoh, finally managed to get on your live show. Hi Amar, much appreciated. Thank you for joining. People, if you have not liked the live stream, please click the like button so more people can find out that it is, live right now. Amar says, I'm living in England for the last 17 years. I will be one of the NRI uncles, but I met these uncles at every get together or Indian functions. Amar, give them hell. Whenever you meet them, to whatever extent possible, give them hell. They think Modi brought the pride and honor for NRIs in Western countries. Modi has made India a world leader. I asked them, why don't you go back to India? Also, why not any European country has made India as visa free or visa on arrival? Yeah, that's true. In fact, you probably have more data points, right? You are more aware of the kind of legacy that you as an NRI come from. You are aware of the relations between India's previous governments and the governments of the countries that you're living in. Bring this up, talk to them. Maybe you will not win, but never let these things go unchallenged. Blue Panther says, hope you're okay, Vimoh, looking a little low. Blue Panther, I'm not low. I would rather my AC was on because it's hot, but the AC sounds like a tuta hua motor car that was excavated in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. And so I can't turn it on. If I turn it on, there'll be such a loud sound. It sounds like a scooter, seriously now. And if I turned it on, the live stream will be interrupted. So I'm sweating here and doing the live stream. Fortunately, only 1 hour. Abhi 40 minutes पे हैं हम. कहाँ गया? Zen says, you mentioned Maratha did wrong to Odisha. I want to know about it. Can you tell a little bit? Because over here they're considered great. You can read up about it. If you there are Wikipedia entries about it. Just search for Maratha rule in Odisha or something similar, and you will find out information about it. If you don't, let me know next time, because even the history books that I read in college, I like quite some time in the past. I know the bare bones and the basics, but I will need to revisit the books, which I have, and I'll clarify. Surya says NRI dude should come back to India. Okay, already read this. ये scrolling जब भी कोई बड़ा वाला comment भेजता है ये अपने आप scroll हो जाता है. Ankit says, I recently found out about Rajiv Dikshit. I liked his content. Then I watched more and realized he's just doing East versus West, modernism versus culture. Who's Rajiv Dikshit? Amazon says, I may be out of my depth here, but recently I'm noticing a lot of South Indians coming out on YouTube in support of BJP and other superstitious Hindu beliefs. Why is that? What do you think is the cause? I have not seen this, so I cannot say. Glenn says, Vimoh, I think I was born in an environment where people always told me Parsis are rich and smart. That's why I said they have a cult of personality, because people never give me a reason why. Oh, that may simply be because as a culture and generally also, people tend to think that anyone who's rich got rich by hard work. I'm not saying Parsis are not hardworking, but Parsis settled in a very prosperous trade background wala place of India. And maybe the reason behind that is that. There are books that go into the history of the Parsis, and I have been wanting to get my hands on one of those. If someone can recommend me a good one, please let me know. Taranga says, you are cool, Somana. Why you do so many cool kind of things? Wait, Somana ने कुछ cool किया क्या? मुझे कुछ दिखा क्यों नहीं? हाँ, I got the best compliment from my husband's nephew. He said, I am the coolest adult he knows. I'm all smiles. Yeah. Great. Connecting artist says, my hypothesis is people who become rich while they believe in some superstition are always fearful of things going bad. That sense of lack of control continues their superstition. What say? I think money is actually something. So in good times, people will be more superstitious. In bad times, they actually if they have to sell their temple, they will. So people who are rich and have good money sense tend to be religious for, I'm not saying they don't believe in the things that they are going through, but I have seen very few people who will prioritize religion over money. Most people don't. The push come to shove, they will always choose money. Anyone would choose money because it has practical utility. Sarcastic Skeptic says, a video idea I would love, play debunked card game by rationality rules the next time you meet Pranav. Hey, that's a good idea. Gaming stream ho jayega. But where do I get the game? I don't have it. Let's see. Taranga says, the only rich person in Sholay was Thakur ka character. Vimoh, you would have to use Grumpy Sanjeev Kumar gif. Okay, I don't want to do that. Mitul says, hi Vimoh, not sure if it has been talked about before, so my apologies. What did you think about our PM's visit to the US and the various praises surrounding the so-called proposed ideas? Mitul, we have spoken about this in a live stream that happened on the weekend that he went, the week that he went. So maybe watch that one. I don't know what it was called. People asked some questions, I answered some of them. But largely, I'm not a huge fan of announcements because these guys announce a lot of things and then jack shit happens. Or they just announce that they have succeeded. Like in 2017, they declared India open defecation free. ऐसे. And then after some months, they said completely electrification of all villages also complete. Money ऐसे announce कर देते हैं. Shri Harsha says the same NRIs also co-opt racist talking points about oppressed communities in the West like black and Hispanic people. Oh yeah, a huge chunk of the narrative that you're seeing in online Hindu circles actually comes from NRIs. It started off as something benign. They were a minority community. They needed reasons to assert their identity, ways to assert their identity. So they wrote books that their kids could read, their kids who had no exposure to India. And then these books became popular. They started selling a lot in India. And now, even though there is a huge cultural difference between the lived experience of an NRI Hindu and a Hindu who lives in India, a Hindu who lives in India is basically the white man of India. He's a majority. A Hindu who lives in America is a minority. So the arguments that minorities there used to bolster their point are being used by Hindus who are a majority in India. It's not the same thing. Just because the two are Hindu doesn't mean they have the same lived experience. Jesus says, I heard the Western cow or the Bose Taurus can be consumed as food, but not Bose Indicus, which is holy to Hindus. Some BJP guys, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. Olive K says, my family is casteist. They still practice untouchability to this date. I've tried talking to them about it a lot of times. क्या दिक्कत है आपको उनसे types, and I try my best. What should I do? Keep talking to them. Don't ever let go of any instance where they do this and nobody questions them. To whatever extent possible, again, I don't know your family, I don't know your relationship with them, but always point out that what they are doing is immoral and horrendous. Jesus says NRI outside India follow the caste system strictly as recorded in US media report. Yes, there is an NPR radio program about caste in America. Recently, several major corporations including Adobe and I think even Google, was it? IBM, I think. I don't remember all of them, but some companies have and universities also have enabled anti-discrimination policies which include caste as a category. And upper caste Hindus raised a stink about it there also. Apparently, their rights as a culture are being violated if they are prevented from discriminating against other Indian people. So, yeah, this happens. Fortunately, more awareness is happening. Freud says, thoughts on postmodern French philosophers, if you have read any. No, sir, I don't think I have any thoughts on postmodern French philosophers. Thank you for asking, though. Sumana says, as an Indian outside, it's almost impossible to find non-bhakts. I have had random Uber driver ask me, has Modi really improved India? They must be talking to Indians and these people must be repeating the same shit. Amazon says, you know what, I used to go to RSS Shakha when I was a kid. I still remember the whole pledge. Great. Repeat it to yourself and be quiet. Sarath says, why is logic or reason related to truth? Is truth a concept within logic? That's an interesting question. I suppose, no, I don't think truth is a concept within logic because what we describe as true is not always logical. Sometimes it is inferred. Sometimes it is deduced. Sometimes it is a best guess. It's not always something you arrive at using logical methods. So I may be wrong about this, but I don't think so. Again, I'm going by the common definition of truth. For example, if I say that it is true that my neighbors are in their house right now, I'm using my best guess, right? So I'm using a colloquial definition of truth. Sumana says, what most NRIs fail to understand is their ability to be accepted or have a voice is what America has given them. Yeah. Rohit says, please listen to some of Vaman Meshram's speeches. Okay. Sumana says, no. Sumana says, no, he was a black driver. Okay. Arun says, why Jawaharlal Nehru is still relevant in India's politics? BJP still attack on him. Why? Because he's the foundation of everything modern secular India is, right? He was the first Prime Minister of India. He fought against saffron forces then, and he brought into being a lot of institutions through the help of a whole lot of other people, like Dr. Ambedkar included. The institutions that exist in India right now and the institutions that are being subverted right now. So anyone who is out to subvert the institutions that protect democracy is naturally going to be anti-Jawaharlal Nehru. Rohit says, please listen to... Kiran says, childish NRIs who make apples to oranges comparisons with India, which is also not appropriate. And on the other end, we have this pseudo NRIs who will say science is stolen from Vedas but never return. I don't know if NRIs say this. I think anyone who's an NRI probably has to contend with the reality that if they say nutty things in public, people might not take them seriously. But in India, this is quite common. ह्यूमैनिटी वर्सेस NRI धूर्तों से मुझे तकलीफ है विमो सर, ये धूर्त खाते विदेश का हैं, डेमोक्रेसी एंजॉय करते विदेश की हैं और गाते अपने ब्राह्मण धर्म का है, और अब तो इनका नया पिताजी भी है PM साहब. हाँ. Ajinkya says, the funny thing is Rajiv Malhotra eschewed his India. Okay, already read that. Amazon says he said AC and Mohenjo-daro. He said AC and Mohenjo-daro. कहाँ गया? Mohenjo-daro in the same sentence must mean India had AC back then. Guys, I just solved it. It was India was the west of the past. Ajinkya says, Surya says, isn't Sham Sharma the Hindutwadi dude who advocates for Indian culture, whatever that is, an NRI who lives in America? I don't know where he lives. I don't want to point at anyone's location, but yes, I have heard that he doesn't live in India. Chikur Chuchumb Baba 420 donated 100 rupees. Thank you, Chikur Chuchum Baba 420. Vimoh compared his AC with Khatara car excavated from Harappa Mohenjo-daro. See, हम सनातनी कितनी बार समझाएं कि सारी टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे पास ही है. मुझे वो नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, अब इसके मीम बनने वाले हैं. Ajay says, Somana, tell this driver Modi has developed India to such an extent that number of Indians giving up citizenship doubled in 2022. Humanity First says maximum NRIs आपको 100 upper caste मिलते हैं. So आपको देशभक्ति का ज्ञान, yeah, this is true. जब देशभक्त थे तो देश छोड़ के क्यों भागे थे धूर्तों? कहाँ गया? चिकुर चुचुम says, first bro they will say हमने इंडिया छोड़ा क्योंकि रिजर्वेशन की वजह से हम बेरोजगार हो गए थे. Hemfu Ingti says, Indian given up their citizens called NRI. Meanwhile, people from Nagaland, Mizoram, etc. get called Chinese. Hypocrisy at its best. Yeah. This is the Hindi belt declaring that it is the default definition of India. कुछ दिन पहले आया था कोई, बोला कि साउथ इंडिया को साउथ इंडिया बोलने की क्या ज़रूरत है, इंडिया बोलो ना. मतलब तुम जिस दिन उनके ऊपर हिंदी इम्पोज करना बंद कर दोगे, दे विल स्टार्ट थिंकिंग ऑफ देमसेल्व्स एज नॉट डिस्टिंक्ट फ्रॉम यू, एंड देन यू एंड दे कैन बोथ कॉल योरसेल्फ इंडियन. Sai Deepak says, also these NRIs, so-called BLM supporters, supported removal of affirmative action from universities and asked the same to be done in India. Yeah. Anti-reservation निकलता नहीं है ना आराम से. इंसान says, thoughts on Abhijit Chawda. अबे चावड़ा का स्पेलिंग ठीक लिख लो भाई, चाड़वा लिखा है. I will eventually get to discussing him or reacting to his content, and when I do, you will find out. Stanley says, I just watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and I'm confused if it's kind of racist towards Indians. Have you seen it? Yes, it is very racist towards Indians. I have seen it. When I saw it first, I didn't really get much of it, but now I have a deeper appreciation of it. Yes, it had racist things in it. You'll find a lot of racist things about Indians in movies made 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. These days, it might get someone fired, but it happened a lot back then. Mithul, thank you for being a member. Mithul says, I completely agree with you about false promises, hence my skepticism, but I also prefer to keep an open mind and give benefit of doubt when possible. Okay. Vinod says, can we still have caste and remove all the discriminatory and hierarchical part of it? Would that be okay? I'm not in favor of caste. No, you can't, because caste is a discriminatory system. That is like asking, can we still have race and remove racism? No, we can't. Mithul says, Sundar Pichai praised Modi for digitization. Do you feel that's a fair praise? Sundar Pichai is the CEO of a corporation which has offices in India, and our Prime Minister never loses an opportunity to sit next to famous people and get pictures taken. And in those meetings, what do you think is going to happen? This stuff is only going to happen. It's going to be born homies, smiles all around, support for each other and all that. Zen says, Vimoh, are you interested in understanding human behavior like effect of social environment and parenting on our mind and behavior? Can you suggest some books related to these topics? Zen, you just described a whole very broad set of categories. Human behavior, effect of social environment and parenting on our mind and behavior. Can you suggest some books related to these topics? I think I might be able to, but nothing comes to mind right away. I will make a list if possible. One of these days I'll do a book stream, and when I do, maybe I'll find some books from my shelf and I'll show them to you. अरे इंसान, तुम कितनी बार वही कमेंट को बार बार कॉपी पेस्ट करोगे? तुमको टाइम आउट नहीं करना चाहता मैं, पर डोंट बाध्य मी टू डू सो. कॉपी पेस्ट मत करो. Connecting artist says, one of the uncles in Delhi was considered a big miser, but donated 22 lakhs for building a temple. Do you think it might be because of status or fear of deep faith? Or fear or deep faith? Yeah, it might be because of any reason. It might be deep faith. Also 22 lakh agar kiya hai, to I'm thinking it might be a mixture of fear and deep faith. Like, I believe, but I don't want to give 22 lakhs. अगर नहीं करेगा तो ED भेजेंगे. Oh, yeah, in that case, take 22 lakhs. Maybe, I don't know. Shiryasha says, why is Mother Teresa revered highly still? Saw a picture of her statue of her alongside Swami Vivekananda in West Bengal. She did a lot of work for the poor. However, there are other alternative accounts of it also. Christopher Hitchens called her a ghoul and said that she was a supporter of suffering, and she prevented people from getting medicine because she thought suffering was getting people closer to God. So that's also there. Take a look at both versions of it and then come to your conclusions. Glenn says, Vimoh, how can I stay away from brainwashing which happens in my value education class, value for namesake, but they only spread hate in that class, example, hate against LGBTQ and narcissistic disorder. कहाँ पे हो रहा है ये class? Like value education class, I have not heard of this. I didn't have it when I was in school. Can you give me details? If you want to send me details or textbook scans, etc., you can email them to me. vimoh@vimoh.in is my email address. vimoh@vimoh.in. Jesu says, is it true that Subhash Chandra Bose was alive till 1985 and he did not surface because of the sanctions that would surface against India because he was with Nazis in the Great War? How do you know Subhash Chandra Bose was alive till 1985 if he did not surface? Where is the evidence that he was alive till 1985? Madhu says, Vimoh sir, please debunk the guy Praveen Mohan again. He's speaking lies in all his videos. We will. Again, I will remind everyone that I might do long streams and reactions on my Twitch channel. It might be difficult to do it here because of copyright issues. But if you want to support me, if you want to follow me on Twitch, you can do so at twitch.tv/TheVimohShow. TheVimohShow. And yes, the name is inspired by the Ranveer show. I was in a jokey mode, so I chose this name. उसका TRS है, मेरा TVS है. जल्दी मेरा एक co-host होगा जापान से जिसका नाम होगा Suzuki, and then we will become TVS Suzuki, which was a motorbike in case you young people don't know about it. Ankit says, I don't like thanks, but I do love pav bhaji. Just saying, eagerly waiting for the book stream. Okay, thank you for the 100 rupee super chat, Ankit. Mithul says, Vimoh, to add to Stanley's question, I feel Temple of Doom has more of a white savior complex, but it's not racist in a discriminatory way. And I think the distinction is important. What is your take? Even benevolent racism is racism, right? What they were doing was that they were showing all this stuff like, you know, chilled monkey brains kind of stuff that they were showing in the thing. It is dehumanizing. It is exoticizing the native population of a country, uh, and the exoticization is happening out of pure ignorance. Bernali, thank you for the 100 rupee super chat. The channel sound is so low. What happened? Uh, I'm not using StreamYard. I'm using just my mic. That is why the audio is low, but I hope it is clear. If you just raise your volume, you will find that you can hear everything. Uttam says, Sumana, Family Guy is supposed to be racist. Zen says, Desk, Tarka Sutra, ye channel bhi continue kijiye. I love watching it. Zen, whenever time. So the idea behind my content strategy is that whatever channels have my name in it, Vimoh and Vimoh Live, have higher priority. Tark Sutra is lowest priority right now because I don't have content to put on it. Whenever I make a Hindi video, I'll put on it, but don't expect Tark Sutra to be a regular channel. The gaming channel is also kind of falling behind because I'm not playing Minecraft right now. I'm playing a card game, and those videos will be boring for you. Maybe we can do card game playing streams on Twitch, and you guys can play against me. I don't play card. I play a game called Legends of Runeterra. If you want to, you can download it and try it and see if you enjoy it. If you do, send me a friend request. I'll tell you my handle sometime, and we can play on stream. Sumana says, why is being racist an entertainment? Indeed. Except that people who are being racist. So there is a convenient version. I like to call it convenient monsters, right? Suppose there is racism happening. Some of it is benevolent, some of it is violent. The benevolent person can convince themselves that they're not racist because they're not violent. But racism and casteism often manifest as benevolent. Like, in a White Man's Burden, for example, Rudyard Kipling, was racism. He was not hateful towards Indians. He just thought they were inferior, and that it was the duty of white people to save them. White Man's Burden, savior complex. Savior complex is often also racism. Vivian says, maybe we should have an Indian version of South Park. Too much of content to have an episode every week. Aman says, no way. An uncle at my college today was arguing with a political science student about how India needs dictatorship because of the magnitude of the population. He ended up playing the age card. Ye uncle wahi karenge hamesha. Sona says, I came across a Russian auntie in the US. She was stereotyping India based on the Big Bang Theory. After a while, I got mad and told her, at least we don't interfere in other countries' elections. Well done. Uttam says they write offensive jokes about almost every community. Barnali says, Vimoh, I'm using earphones, otherwise it is quiet. Okay. Hemfu says, Vimoh, does NoFap really help? Is there any scientific evidence to back it up? I don't think so. I have talked to doctors about it, like well-known people, and they say there is no foundation to it. It's nonsense. Shiriyasha says, Vimoh, please explain me the gender diversity and how to grasp it. Right wingers mock them, saying रोज नया gender आता है USA में 41 genders हो गए already, etc. etc. There is good amount of evidence to suggest that there are at least 16 categories that may be broadly defined as genders, scientifically speaking. And these categories are not even, this list is not even exhaustive. I recommended to people that they watch a video by Forrest Valkai. It's called Sex and Sensibility. Forrest is a biologist and he goes into great detail about this gender issue, and you can watch it and you can understand a lot of things. Mohan says, when can our country provide equal opportunities to all so we have an opportunity to choose whether to stay or leave? We need more leaders such as Martin Luther who would say, I have a dream. I don't know which country you're talking about. America or India? Because Martin Luther was not Indian. Anyway. Sumana says, it's usually boomers who do that. Young college educated people are usually good. Yeah. That's why I said NRI uncles. Or as someone pointed out, it should be, as Blue Panther pointed out, it should be uncles. But anyway, we have reached the 1 hour mark. So this is the end of today's live stream. There are 92 people watching right now. Thank you everyone. If you have not liked the video, please like it. And I will remind everyone that a good way to support the channel is through the join button below. If you click it and you become a member and you pay a certain amount every month, it's 170 rupees, I believe. And you can also send super chats, which I think now you can't because the live stream is ending. But another way to support this channel is Patreon, patreon.com/Vimoh. Another way of supporting it is by clicking the thanks button below and making a one-time contribution on YouTube itself. Or you can go to my blog at vimoh.stck.me and click the support button there and make a contribution of any amount of your choice. This live stream happens on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 p.m. And we talk about atheism, Indian culture, contemporary politics, etc., etc. Right? Today, though, we didn't talk about atheism much, mostly about NRI uncles. I think we should choose a topic every once in a while. Like, I think the problem with having one topic on a live stream is that after a few episodes, I've kind of sort of gone through every single question that can be asked. So, Haris Sultan, the well-known Pakistani live streamer, recently announced that he's ending his live stream. And he made a video about it some days back, and he said that one of the reasons was that it's the same conversations that he's having all the time. So I think if I want to escape that problem, I should talk about more varied things. So every week I'll choose a different topic. There will be a topic, we can talk about other things also. But for example, NRI uncles was the topic today, and we did get a lot of questions about it, and we did get to talk about it a lot. So yeah, I guess. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining. And I will see you on Saturday at 8 p.m. And on Saturday, I will take callers. And if you have a problem with me, if you have a thing that you disagree with me on something, you can come on Saturday and we can talk to each other face to face. Hopefully, you will keep your web camera on. But if you don't want to, that's also okay. So see you on Saturday and take care of yourselves. Good night. Bye-bye.